Hello, let's finish up the front end. So this is where we stopped yesterday. So we implemented some HTML and we began our CSS from here. Okay, now let us change this background. Let me just set the background color to this color, and we will see what we have now. So I'm going to adjust the color later on. I'm going to adjust it to have a little bit of white and blue, or rather white and black. But then let us target the header. So we want the header to, we want the header to have a background color of 0F00, let's say 00F or 000, a background color of black. So we can use the VS Code extension to adjust the black to whatever color we may want. I think this one is okay, but let's change it from this to this. All right, something like this. Okay, let's see how it looks. You can see that this color is a little bit good. Let's adjust it more just to have a darker one. All right, so I hope by now if you refresh you should have a darker one. All right, then we want all this nav to appear side by side. Let me just minimize this like this, and so that we can see the content whenever. So we want this to be side by side to each other. So we can just say display flex, and it appears to be side by side. Now let us target this UL, which is situated on the header and class nav. So we can do that by saying header dot nav, and we can display the content as well to flex. Now we need to target the UL as well because the L, okay, so everything is now on side by side to each other. Then we can separate these things by justifying them. So we can use justify content to space around, so we have something like that. We can also use space between, but at the moment I think space around is better, but we can also use space between. Then let us add some padding. 12 pixels, and we can also align item to center, align items to center, just to make sure that everything is centered. Then on the list, we can also set the list style to none, and then we can also give them padding. Padding 5 pixels. Okay. I think there is no need for this padding. All right. Now let's target the LI and A. So I want the text decoration to be none, and I want the color to be white. You know, we want it black and white. And I also would want them to have, let's use justify content to space around. Let's see if that will work. Or rather, we can use margin. So let's use margin like around 5 pixels, and we can see there are now spaces around them. You can as well add some padding just to make it look a little bit dense. So let's have the same equal padding. Okay, so it's a little bit denser. Let's make it, instead of giving it padding, let's make it padding from the right side, padding right, so that it won't affect the top. Or rather, we can just say padding and then we use 0 and 5. Yeah, it's still the same thing. So in this case, we now have the 0 represents the horizontal, sorry, and then the 5 represents the 0 represents the x-axis, and then the 5 represents the y-axis. So I think this is wrong. It's supposed to be 5 pixels 0 pixel. So this is what I want. So if you can't understand this, you can simply use that padding left or padding right. So padding right, padding from the right hand side. Okay, then let's have some hover effect on it. Let's add some hover effect. So so we are targeting the A tag. So but instead of targeting it this way, I can just select header dot nav ul li then A. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be specific. So we can use hover. So because we want the hover effect, and on hover we would want to have the color to change to white, and then the background color to change to this color, which is the default. Okay, so you can see that on hover it has taken this. So we can still change this color maybe to another primary color or secondary color of our choice. So then we can add padding to make it better. So let's add padding 5 and 8. So let's see. So 5 pixels and 8 pixels. Or rather, let me just remove this. So I think this is better. So this is better now. All right, then when each of these is clicked, we would want to have the color to show that it has been clicked. But let us not just add too many designs here. Let's just focus on what we are here to do. We have develop yourself by doing this. So let's have the hero section. So I think we should have a hero image from what we have here on the hero section. So you can see we have the hero image, but we have not added any image yet. So let's add the image, img, and then on the source I want to bring an image from the images folder. Let's use this particular image, and I would want to show that this is hero image, and then control the size with width equal to, let's give it 100%. Okay, so this is what we have, but we would not want it to be just this way. We would want it to be around somewhere else. So since my image is red background, I am thinking of changing my header to red, but let's just leave it this way. So we want to say demarcate this thing into 2 grids. So let's now target the hero section. So let's target the hero section, and the hero section is on the main dot hero dash section, and we can use display grid or display flex, but I would want to use grid this time around because I've made use of flex for a long time. So then we can set the grid template columns to auto and auto, and you can see that we have divided this thing into 2, this one taking half of the page and this one also taking half of the page, and that is exactly what I want to do. So we can then rearrange it to look nicer and cleaner. Then one more thing is Okay, I think I'm done with the grid. So let's focus on the hero section or hero image, then hero article. So this is the hero image and this is the hero article. So let's now focus on each of them. So I am going to start with the dot hero dash articles article. And I want it to have a margin. Let's give it margin left, margin dash left of around 12 pixels. Okay, let's see how it will look on a bigger screen. So this is better. Again, I would want to give some padding around 8 pixels. Okay, this is also good. And we would also want to align the items to center. Let's see what we have. So I think align item is not supposed to be here. Okay, so let's do this from here, from the hero section. So we want to align content of this hero section to center. Let's change it to item. Let's see if it will work. So I think it has worked. So you can see, but I would also want to have a little to cut off the remaining part of this image just to shrink the height of the image. So I can simply shrink the height of this image because it is so what I will do is so let's do that on the body area. Let's tell the body to have a height of 100 view height. So the height will be 100 view height. And let me just set it as important. Or let me take it from here. Or rather, let's leave it there. Let's set it to be important so that nothing else can override it. Then we can then touch the height of the image. So on the height of the image, let's use the HTML attribute height, and we can set this height to 312 pixels. You can see that the image has been shrinked, so let's make it 200. But one disadvantage is that you can see that this image you cannot control what happens to it. Let's remove the height. One thing I think I will do is on my CSS grid, Instead of setting it to auto, I can just specify the sizes of each of the grid. So let's see the grid. So instead of doing this, I can set it to 50% and 50%, making it 100%. 50%, 50%. So you can now see at least it is better now. It is now a little bit better. Okay, so let's target the H2 and then the fonts and other things, because I don't actually like that font. So font style or font family, let's use fantasy. Let's see what will happen. The fantasy font is not, it's not that it's not that it's not that good to my liking. Let's use this one, Calibri. I don't also like this Calibri, but we can still manage it. Then I can also set the font size or the font or the colors to this. So the colors are now good to look at. And if you look at this, if I should touch this, you can see how it looks. But if I remove that align item to center, these things will be at the center, at the top here, which is not what I want. I want it to be just at the center here, and then these ones we can then touch them one after the other. Let's design the buttons. So we can target the buttons. So I will just target the individual buttons. So we can give it a background color of this, and we can give it the text color of white, and give it some border, remove the borders and add padding. So let's add padding of around 5 pixels. And border radius of 5 pixels as well. You can see the buttons that we have. So let's increase the padding a little bit. Let's say 8 pixels, and then we can add some cursor pointer. You can see this thing is not showing that it is a button, so let's add cursor pointer. So we can see you can now point on it, and all the buttons has taken the same design. So that's why I had to do it for button, because I want every button to take the same design, you know, consistency of design. One more thing is that on this hero section, I don't actually want it to have any margin at the top. So I can set the margin top to 0, but I think I can still see some margin there. I don't actually want any margin there, but there's no issue, we'll still look into it. All right, then, I don't want to waste a lot of time making this design. So that's why I am being very fast. My major aim is to show you how you can call the API from the backend and be able to fetch all the data that we have on the backend. Okay, so that's the essence of this video. And from the beginning, we don't actually want to use something like React or any other JavaScript framework. We want to just use pure JavaScript to do these things. All right, then one more thing is these cards, all these cards, we would also want to work on it. Let's see what it is on this. So it is courses section. Let me just copy this, courses section. So let's target it. It's a class, so it's supposed to be courses section, and we want to display grid, and then we also want the grid template columns to be how many cards do we want to appear to display on the same row. So we can just set it to be 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. So I think 20%, or rather let's make it 25% just to cover the width. 25%. So 25 times 4 will give us 100%. So that's, you can see that they are now displaying side by side to each other. And this section, we would want to have a margin of around 1.5 rem. So you can see what we have. So this is very good. Then but not that nice. We'll still work on the design. So let's make it a good card. And these cards should have some images inside of each of these cards. But before let me add images. So let's have img. So, and let's take this from images, and let's have this my image on the card, and I want to set the width to 100% of each of this card, and you can see what we have. So we can copy this and make sure that each of the cards have it. Make sure that each of the cards have a consistent design. So one of the elements of design is that you should have consistency in your design. Then let's target the card, each of these cards. Let's target them and do something with them. So dot cards, not cards but card, right? Yeah, card. So let's target the card. So the first thing I would want to do to this card is to add some margin of around 8 pixels. As I am talking about 8 pixels, and I'm doing 5 pixels. So 8 pixels. And also I would also want to add I would also add some padding to the card just to make sure that everything is looking neat and nice. One more thing is that I would want to have a border of 1 pixel solid for each of these cards. So you can see that each of these cards now have this 1 pixel solid border. Then let's add border radius of 0.5 pixel. So 0.5 pixel, you can see this place is curved, this place is curved, whereas these places are not curved. So if you want to see it better, we can just make it 12 pixels so that you see it more. So you can see what we have there. But we can just do everywhere 12 pixels like this. Okay. One more thing is to add box shadow. So one thing I usually do for most of the time that I want to give some of these elements, like I told you, don't cram or don't just memorize the code. Just try to know how to do it the best way. It will help you. So what we do is I'll go to CSS generator so that I'll show you what it can do. CSS generator, and on the CSS generator, so you see this is the CSS generator and this is box shadow. So here I will do some certain things. So what I will do is, you can see this type of box. I will try to adjust them small. So this is a little bit adjustment. So this is a very good adjustment. And then on the vertical shadow, I will also adjust it to very so this is a good adjustment. So, and the color is also neat, so I can just copy the CSS. I'll come back to my own, and instead of using this one, I'll just delete it and add this one. So you can see my boxes shows that they have some shadow. I will also do the same thing on my header, because actually I want the header to have this same box shadow, and you can see it now look a little bit fine now. Okay, I can just comment this align item to center, and so you can see what we have. And we also comment this one, and you can see what it looks like. So we can still do this, but that will be later on. So you can see the cards. So each of these cards are going to carry our courses, those courses that we created on the other side of the this thing, on the back end. Okay, so One more thing is that you can see that on the mobile display, the cards are not actually that very nice to look at. But before I will do that mobile view. Let's just work on the footer. So I think I'll just have to wait a little bit for AI to give me some good so one thing with AI is that sometimes it thinks that you want to do something, but that's not actually what you wanted to do. All right, so you can see what we have here, and everything is now looking fine. So, but on the mobile display, I would want it to display only 2 cards, or maybe 1 card. So I will use at media screen and at media screen and what I want to say now is maximum width, max width, max width as 712 pixels. So on the 712 pixels, I want the cards. I want this course section. I want the course section to display only 2 cards. So I am going to make each of these cards 50%. So you can see on the smaller screen, this is just 2 cards on the smaller screen. So this is a very neat design as it stands now. Now guys, let's move to okay, we can actually add some certain things like a line, a horizontal line, to divide this title from the rest of the other this thing. So let's use H1 HR. I'll just copy HR and I'll place it everywhere after the title. Okay, so this is looking nice. Let's make everything to on the CSS. I can just do one more thing. What do I want to do is I want text aligned to be center so that everything will be at the center, and that's all. So everything is looking fine and neat. We have achieved this design. Now let's go to our JavaScript. So on the JavaScript now, we want to set our URLs or URL as a string of localhost port 8000. So this is our normal Django home page where we set the get method. If you have not watched the first video where we implemented the Django backend, REST API, you can also do that. So I will need to activate my Django backend. So what I will do is I will have to go to the backend and close the front end. So open the terminal. Let me make this full screen. Run a terminal, new terminal. And we have to cd backend so that we can move into the backend. And on the cd backend, we have the virtual environment as my env. So we can activate it with my env /scripts /activate.bat, and you can see that it is active now. So we can run python manage.py run server to run our server. So let's see the website. So you can see that we have this Django REST framework here, and it is on port 8000. So we can also just copy this instead of using the other one that we specified here in our JavaScript. So on my JavaScript, I'll just need to use this link. I can remove this backtick. Then to fetch this API, so let me just comment this and say fetch API get. So we can then use fetch URL. So this is the function that we can use to fetch the URL. Now remember that we are also making use of AI. So one thing is we can also ask AI. So this video is meant to also train you on how to implement or use AI to facilitate your design process or your development process. So instead of doing this manually, let me show you how we can do it. AI can assist you to do this same thing without having to worry yourself. Okay, so let's get there. So I will open my OpenAI, that's chatgpt.com, and we can just go straight and ask it a question. Okay, so we can just go straight and ask it a question. So how do we ask it this question now? Okay, so what I will do is, here we can create a new chat. So I will say I have a Django backend REST API, and I want you to create a JavaScript function to fetch the courses from the Django local host server. So you can also tell it how you have done the cards. On my HTML, I have a card to represent the courses like this. So we can also give it that our HTML code. So let's go to the HTML and go to the cards. So on the courses section, I'll just copy everything and and then give it to it. Now let's see what will happen. Okay, so it is just giving us what we should have for the Django and what we should also have for the JavaScript. So we are not interested in on this one, but we are actually interested on the JavaScript. So you can see what we have there. So document.add event listener, and so on. So let's just wait for it to see what it is doing. So all right, so it is done. So what we do is I am going to just click copy on the JavaScript, and I will close these ones because I don't want anything to distract my attention. And then I will just remove this, add this. Let's pull this one down. And what I will do is I will just have to remove this script here and also remove this script here. Now I am going to set up the callback API, callback URL, which is this. So this is still the same thing that we are doing, but in this case they passed in the AI passed in this URL directly into the fetch function, and then .then response to return the JSON value, and then pass the data as course section dot inner HTML. And this course section is this variable or constant that has been declared as a document.query selector courses section. Okay, and then what else? They now passed in all these things that we have on that HTML. So we have to remove everything that we have on the card on the HTML and just add the class to do all these things. Okay, so if you go to the AI now, you go to the HTML aspect of it, you will see how it showed you how to go about that. So on the course section, you just need to copy this thing and remove the course section from the whole thing. So I am going to remove everything that appear to be on the course section. So we remove everything and just put these two things. So why are we doing this? So we are doing this because this is the section, the course section. So, and the JavaScript is going to pass in everything like the images and every other thing to that HTML. And that's basically everything that we actually need to do. And we also want to do something to the Django backend. We must have to install something called course.header. So the core header, we enable our backend to be able to communicate to the front end. And how do we do that? So AI would have given us some hints. So if you see here, it says pip install Django core header. So we have to do that. So pip install Django core header. So after the installation, we should add this core header to the settings.py. So on the settings.py file, we must add this core header. And this is just to be able to allow our front end to access this backend. Without it, you will not be able to access it. So we have to do this by adding this to the list of the installed applications that we have on the backend. So we will go to courses, which is the we go to LMS website, which is the project, and look for settings.py. And on the installed app, I can just go to the top or anywhere. Let me just add it at the top here and add the core headers. Then we also need to add this to the middleware. It's going to be at the top of the middleware. So I am going to also add this at the middleware. So copy this, and on the middleware I will add it. So always make sure that the indentations are correct, because without a proper indentation, Python will throw up errors. All right, after doing this, I think everything is going to work now. So we can just run python manage.py run server again. And we need to add the core allow origin, just to allow all the URLs coming in. So for the development process, you don't need to allow everything, but if you are on production, you just specify the URL that you want to allow. All right, so we can allow this server to rerun. So now if we go to our backend and refresh it again, so we can still see all these things, that all this data we have on this place. So let's see how our website will now look. So you can see that our website is now returning this thing. But one thing is that the images are gone. So the images are gone. So what we will do is we can just make sure that our images, since we don't have an image on the Django backend, that's actually why it is not returning any image. So what we will do is on this front end, we need to just set up the image, or we can just go to the JavaScript, and instead of passing in this course image, we can just pass in the the image, which is source on the images slash, then I'll go and copy the name of this image, because I don't actually have this image offhand, or rather let's just copy it from here. So I'll copy this image, and then I'll just put it here. Okay, so now if I should refresh, so you can see we now have all these things. And we can also have the course description, because the course description was not added. So let's add it, course description. So let's add a paragraph P, sorry. So let's add a paragraph P, and we can just say description, and this is going to be this, sorry, the description is going to have this is going to be course dot description. Okay, let's see if that would work. So you can see the course description here. So we can also just give a line break to, after the course description, just add a line break BR after that. So we can refresh again and you can see what we have is, after this we have all these things. So everything is neat and nice. Now let's go to our backend and see if this whole thing is the same. On the backend, it's supposed to be local host port 8000 /admin. So let's see if we create another. So let's log in. I think this thing is prof Rishi, and the password is test123. Login. So we are now logged in, and we can just create, we can look at the courses. You will see that we only have these two courses, and these two courses are the courses that we are seeing here, and it is now returning it on our own front end. You can see Django for beginner, JavaScript for beginner. So let's add one more course to this. So let's say WordPress Essentials. This course will teach you how to develop a website without writing codes. And the author is Richard Noyalo, and the price should be 50,000 naira. And let's save it. Now we have three courses. Let's go to the front end. You can see automatically we have three courses without refreshing this website. The third course has appeared on this place. So instead of using this dollar symbol for the price, we will use Nigerian naira, because we are actually supporting Nigeria, and automatically everything should change. Now you can see it is showing Nigerian naira. Let's just give it a little space, and I think everything is should. So you can see everything is working fine. So guys, please make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, as I will be giving you more updates. The next video I'll be doing is how to fetch API using your React JS. So my next course will be on React. Please comment on this video if you want me to teach React. Comment on this video. If I get much response, I am going to make React video for the next course. I'll see you in our next video. For now, take care. Goodbye.